You're watching News 19 this morning.
Good morning and thanks for waking up with News 19 this morning. Going through all 50 pages of that report, there were 3 cases concerning the children. Behind me, it is still a very active scene. There are multiple crews here responding. Subways, public transportation all shut down at 11 o'clock, including the airports as well. I'm Lionel Moise with your online news minute. I'm putting the Samsung Galaxy S5 and HTC One. Game Boy turns 25 years old. Look, sorry guys, I have to take a selfie.
You cannot deny what was caught on this film. That's right.
All right, strong words this morning as protesters gathered to rally against the fatal shooting of an unarmed man in North Charleston. Good afternoon and thanks for joining us. I'm Lionel Moise. Darcy is on assignment today. She's actually on her way to North Charleston following the very latest in this story. Hundreds of people protested this morning, angry after video made national headlines. The video shot by a witness nearby shows a North Charleston police officer shooting an apparently unarmed man during a traffic stop. 33-year-old Michael Slager has been charged with murder. Slager pulled over 50-year-old Walter Scott Saturday morning for a taillight violation. Now, initially, the officer told authorities that the men struggled over his taser and that he feared for his life. But a video shot by someone nearby shows a completely different story. The video shows Slager firing 8 shots at Scott as he fled. In the moments after that shooting, it also shows Slager putting handcuffs on Scott as he lies still on the ground. A second officer then responds to the scene. About 2.5 minutes after that shooting, Slager can then be seen putting his hands on Scott's neck, apparently checking for his pulse. The victim, Walter Scott, was a father of 4 who had served in the Coast Guard. Well, our Mary Sturgill is in North Charleston, where protesters were there this morning getting the community reaction. Mary, what is the latest that you're hearing there? In Richland County, a couple now facing charges after a child was found dead and several found living in a filthy house. 22-year-old Shanice Medlock and 27-year-old Marcus Aaron Scott now facing 4 counts of unlawful neglect of a child. Deputies were investigating the death of a 2.5-month-old baby. Well, when they got to the house, they found 12 people were living inside that home, including 3 of Medlock's other kids, ages 4, 3, and 2. Deputies say their house on Castle Ridge Drive had a horrible stench, trash just throughout the house, moldy food, and you can see here in this picture hundreds of flies, both dead and alive. The children were not home during that visit, but investigators later went back and found the 3 kids. They're now in DSS custody. Meanwhile, the infant's death still under investigation. We're told more charges are possible. Some of your headlines from USA Today: an Ohio man now facing federal charges after allegedly plotting a terror attack on the U.S. Capitol. 20-year-old Christopher Cornell, described in court papers as a sympathizer for ISIS, was arrested yesterday after purchasing 2 semi-automatic rifles, also several hundred rounds of ammunition. The FBI says he planned to use them to kill government officials. It was an informant who tipped off the FBI about the plans over the summer. Game Boy turns 25 years old. Yesterday was the birthday for this. Can you believe it's been around that long? The original Game Boy first appeared on this date back in 1989. Game Boy is widely viewed as the first portable gaming device to appeal to mainstream gamers. Nintendo says they sold about 120 million versions of the Game Boy, along with over 500 million of Game Boy games. Well, this is a backup that you certainly do not want to see on the highway. An unpleasant, no pun intended,
I was gonna say.
An unpleasant sight and smell on I-77 yesterday near Carowinds. That big pile of stuff there, that was a truck carrying human waste that overturned, spilling all that poop onto the roadway. Highway Patrol says the driver was speeding when it happened and the truck flipped. Fortunately, no one was hurt. The driver was ticketed. Unfortunate for the people who got stuck behind that truck.
I feel like every word you just used there was a pun.
And it was not intentional, which is like the funny part about it.
You said back up, stuck.
Yes, pile up. Behind me, it is still a very active scene. There are multiple crews here responding. I'm on Pineview Road, sort of in between the intersections of Shop Road and Garner's Ferry. As you mentioned, there was an accident a little bit earlier this morning. We're told that one person was trapped inside of that car, but EMS was able to arrive on the scene and they were able to evacuate both drivers from the propane tank and the vehicle to the hospital. No word on how they're doing right now, but you can see behind me that they are still trying to get it under control. So this propane tank holds about 2,600 gallons of gasoline. We're told it was about 85% full at the time of the accident. So you can see crews pouring water on it. They're trying to contain the vapors to prevent them from igniting, and that's something that could cause maybe a fire or some sort of an explosion. They say they are going to get that under control before then flipping the tank to clear the area. But what we know so far, the area has been evacuated. A number of businesses were told to stay in place or move to another area. No one is being let in the roads right now, and they're just focusing on getting this under control. Be sure to stay with News 19 throughout the remainder of the day on air and online and social media. Hey guys, I'm reporting from New York, Queensboro to be exact, where I, like many other people, have been stuck in New York City because flights are not going in and out of the city right now. You can see the snow coming down behind me. This is just the beginning of what they are saying is to come. What's predicted to be one of the biggest storms that New York City has ever seen. Schools are closed. They have stopped transit and public transportation for both the state of New Jersey and New York starting at 11 o'clock tonight, and they are asking everyone to stay inside. I, of course, will be staying inside with my family to make sure I'm safe, but I will be tweeting photos. You can follow me at Lionel Moise for the very latest.
Be strong, don't give up, or your life will be gone.
You hear these words and think survival, something probably from our men and women in uniform. But these 11 words, words of courage, perseverance, and resilience, are words that probably saved Evan Pertile's life. At just 6 years old, he was diagnosed with medulloblastoma. It's a highly malignant cancer that starts in the back of your brain and spreads rapidly. It's a day that no parent can prepare for.
You're scared, you're afraid, you're angry. You have every range of emotion possible.
That diagnosis was followed by a call to St. Jude and a move to the hospital in Memphis the very next day. It was there that Evan, a boy fascinated with our military, would begin his own battle. Surgeries and chemo were mixed with holidays and even his kindergarten graduation. But there was no whining, no giving up, only smiles.
The first time he skipped into chemotherapy, and they figure, well, he doesn't know what he's in for, because it's really tough on those kids. It's really bad. The second time he skipped onto the inpatient floor a month later, he's like, I love St. Jude. It's fun being inpatient. And we're saying, oh, we're not having fun.
The treatment slowly took its toll. Evan refused to eat. He lost a lot of weight, and then the inevitable.
He had big chunks of hair on the bed. And I was looking, I'm like, what's that? And the nurse said, his hair's falling out.
Meeting one person changed everything.
I'm sitting on a plane next to this lady, and I'm crying, and I'm very embarrassed because I'm not a big emotional, cry in public kind of person. And she's like, what's wrong? I'm like, I'm fine. And she's like, what's wrong? And I just told her about Evan.
That stranger happened to work at Fort Leavenworth. When she found out that Evan loved the military so much, she made sure that little soldier was no longer alone on the battlefield. Evan's online website got tens of thousands of messages from our troops.
You have to eat to be Army Strong Evan.
It started with the Army, then quickly spread.
Scottish troops are writing, English troops, I mean literally people from all over the world in the armed services were writing letters and writing notes to my son to keep him strong and to encourage him to eat. And you know what? He started eating. He said, Mom, I'm going to eat so I can be Army Strong.
And that was just the beginning.
A bunch of guys got together, sent Evan a real Army uniform, a real Army backpack. They even had his name printed, camo paint. I mean, Evan and I would run around the Target house.
I thought it meant like something really special to me, because it's a one-in-a-lifetime opportunity to meet some of them and to get something from them, especially Purple Heart.
Purple Hearts, Bronze Stars, flags flown over Iraq and Afghanistan. Evan was quickly becoming one of the most decorated officers, his fellow troops counting on him to push through.
If you give up and you stop fighting, you have a less percentage of surviving.
And he never did. Evan is now 10 years old. He's healthy, his cancer undetectable.
Happy and kind of sad at the same time.
Why sad?
Well, because all the people who were just like me, just like kids who were 6 years old, didn't make it too.
Evan's second chance at life means more chances to push other little boys and girls to stay focused on the mission, to stay Army strong, and to stay alive. I did the story, and every time I see it, I'm so inspired by him.
Beautiful story.
And to see, you know, our big military base here, and to see them step up. His mom said the military and the doctors that they had are the reason why. Like, her son was giving up, and they are the reason why he is here today.
And just when he said at the end too, like his friends.
And that girl, the little girl, was Grace. She was in a lot of the campaigns with him, and she didn't make it. And so for him to, now he wants to be a radiologist so he can help other people. And you can help as well. So there's a big St. Jude walk that his family worked so hard to bring to Columbia. Army Strong Evan is the #1 team since it started. They've raised more than $8,000 this year already.